Hi, Sam from Guitar Village here, and today I've got some very exciting news for you. Fender Custom Shop have just done another one of their dealer events, and there are some killer guitars that will be coming in very soon. Now, if you're not aware of these dealer events, they're a really interesting thing they do once, twice, three times a year sometimes, in which all the dealers in Europe or America will be able to bid on certain guitars they want to get, and then the custom shop decides who gets what. So it's a little bit of a lottery. You know, they're out the ones we bidded on, it's probably 55 different guitars, and we've won 3 of them, which is still incredible. We've also ordered quite a few of these as well. So let's have a look at them. So first up, we're going to have a look at the 3 guitars we've won. The first one, which you can see here on the screen, this is a custom 59 Jazzmaster Heavy Relic, and this is master built by Dale Wilson. And that's really important to us to get one of these guitars in built by him, because they've literally closed the books on him for the moment. His order time was somewhere around 9 months. 9 years. And that, it just, you know, who's going to order a guitar that's going to take 9 years to turn up, other than dealers? You know, if I wanted a guitar, I'd want it like the next day, if possible, you know. But yeah, so they've closed the books on him. So getting this one of a kind, charcoal frost, metallic over black, it's just incredible. Let's check out the guitar, see some pictures of it. I mean, that thing looks absolutely killer. It's one of the best Jazzmasters I've seen in a long time. And you can see there it's got the RSD J bridge on there, which is really stable, great for intonation too. Another nice shot of it, looking really good, this guitar. See if we can find one of the back too. Oh, I do like a capped headstock. And you can see some really nice figuring there too. You've got Dale Wilson's signature, which he puts on the back of every guitar he makes. That's it, a great shot at the back. You can really see that's a proper heavy relic. I mean, it's almost getting into like a super heavy relic territory. Okay, let's have a look at some of the specs for this one as well, for those of you who might be keen to know. So we've got a 2-piece select alder body, 2 A-flame maple neck, which we were just looking at, with a flat laminate rosewood fingerboard and a large C back shape neck profile. It's a little bit more playable than the older ones, because you've got a 9.5-inch radius, 21 narrow tall frets, which are really nice and easy on the fingers, especially if you're doing string bending and things like that. And a pair of Josephina Hanwell vintage Jazzmaster pickups. Everything else is looking really nice on this, quite standard, very vintage, like you can see from the tremolo arm there as well. Now let's move on to the next one that we've won. So the second of the 3 that we've won is this, number 57. It's a limited edition 1953 Tele Heavy Relic in aged no-caster blonde. Let's check out this guitar. I mean, it's a really nice guitar. I'm surprised, actually. This is kind of more of a relic-looking guitar than a heavy relic, but you've got some really nice wear up there. Really cool wear down here, where you see a lot of the guys resting their fingers on there. Never done that myself, but I know a lot of old players like doing that. Nice back shot. You can see the heavy relic treatment on the back of the neck there. It's like worn right through to the wood, so you're going to get a really nice smooth playing feel. Nice limited edition neck plate on there as well. So let's check out some of the specs for this one. Like I said, heavy relic lacquer finish, 2-piece select off-center seam ash body. And that's interesting, because usually you're going to see the 2 pieces are joined right down the center there. And on this one, it's going to be offset to one side, which is quite a nice, cool touch. It's got a 2 A-flame quarter sawn maple neck, so it's going to be a stable neck, which should be obvious, but you know, they do different gradings for the neck. So you might have something that's like a plain sawn neck, which means, you know, it's a very uniform looking kind of even neck, typical on a lot of the older kind of pre-CBS models and things like that. Then you jump up to a quarter sawn maple neck, and then rift sawn, which is a bit more wasteful in terms of, you know, the wood they're leaving behind when they cut it, but it also means you get a really stable neck, and you pay a little bit more for it as well. So this is a 54 style U neck profile on there with a compound radius, which is something that I think a lot of modern players really like. We've got a vintage to a kind of semi-modern radius, so a 7.25 up to a 9.5. Once again, 21 narrow tall frets, so very playable and easy for bending strings. We've got a custom shop hand wound. This is original blackguard Tele in the bridge, and then a twisted Tele in the neck. So you're going to get some really versatile sounds out of it as well. Let's jump on to the next one that we won. Okay, so this is the last of the 3 that we've won, which we've got coming in imminently. You know, they should just be within weeks, I would like to say. I know they're just over in Holland, so they will be making their way over very soon. As I was mentioning with the last Tele that we were looking at, about the different levels of neck kind of cuts, you can see on this one here it's got a one-piece rift sawn maple neck, so that's going to be really stable, especially with a 1056 V shape, which is, it's a pretty chunky neck. It's not massive, but it is on the chunky side. A 9.5-inch radius, so it's going to be playable with those narrow tall frets. We've got Custom Shop hand-wound master design bone tone Strat pickups. These are new pickups they're doing. If you haven't tried them yet, it's well worth giving them a go. They've got a really interesting flavour of their own. It's got a Fat 50s Strat half blender wiring, so that means you can bring in the neck and the bridge pickup together for another tone as well. Let's have a look at a couple of photos of these. Okay, so there's looking really nice. It's an absolute classic Strat, but in a really nice custom colour. There again, we've got the slight heavy relic treatment. It's not as dirty as some of the heavy relics can be on the back where they've worn it through. So this is a really nice, subtle kind of aging that I think a lot of players really appreciate, who want something that's not kind of brand new and shiny, just has the kind of has the sheen taken off of it, but still very playable. Okay, so they're the three guitars we've won. Like I said, they're going to be here imminently. Now we're going to jump on to the ones that we didn't win, but we put on order anyway. So let's get into it. So, for the first of the ones that we won, this is a master-built Greg Fessler Custom 63 Strat Relic. This has got a two-piece alder body. We have got some coming up with ash bodies as well, which look really nice. Has a roasted quarter sawn maple neck, which we're going to see in a set. You can see it just makes the neck look a little bit darker. It's got a round laminate rosewood fingerboard, which is very typical of a 63 Strat, where they put the rosewood fingerboard on top of a maple neck, which is already radius, so it's a thinner piece of rosewood on there. It does give you an interesting tonal difference as well. It's a 60 style oval C neck profile, which is probably one of the most popular necks they do now. It's very playable, a little bit slimmed down by the first fret, but it gets quite chunky up at the 12th. 9.5-inch radius with 21 medium jumbo, 61 50 frets. And we have got a Josephina hand-wound Texas Special in the bridge position, Fat 50s in the middle, and a 69 in the neck. So this is something that, again, that the Custom Shop do quite a lot of. They mix these three pickups together, so you've got a really, really nice range of sounds in there. Let's have a quick look at some pictures of that as well before we move on to the next one. So you can see there that really dark tint on the headstock, or on the neck, where it's just really, really, where the roasting treatment has just made it that bit darker. Looks really cool, that guitar, properly worn in. This one we're looking at right here, this is a 67 HSS Stratton Journeyman Relic, and this particular guitar is really interesting to me because what you've got is you've got a Journeyman Relic with Closet Classic hardware, which is a nice touch. So what they do is all the parts that are on there, all the kind of nickel parts, things like that, will have a Closet Classic finish, which is a kind of just slightly more subtle looking finish. So it's a bit shinier, and then the rest of it will be a Journeyman Relic, so slightly more relics than the hardware, and that gives you something that's really usable, and the parts aren't kind of really rusty like some of them can be. What made this guitar really appealing to us as well is the fact you've got that humbucker in there, which is very subtle against a tortoiseshell pickguard, and it's got neck binding, something that you don't see on Strats often. Got those nice pearl inlays as well, very typical of a CBS era Strat, and the big headstock as well. Okay, now we're checking out a limited edition 59 Strat NOS with gold hardware in Fiesta Red. And this guitar is just, it's a proper Hank machine. You've got the gold hardware, you've got loads of figuring to that maple neck. It's an NOS finish, so it's like brand new with a single ply guard. I mean, that guitar is just one we'd want to keep in all the time. Looks great, they always play great as well. It's limited edition, like I said earlier, you've got that limited edition decal on the neck plate there as well. This guitar was one, as soon as we saw this, they've done this in a couple of different colours, but as soon as we saw this one, we thought we have to have that. It's a roasted 60 Strat. It's super heavy relic, something that we really love here at the shop, in aged black over 3-colour Sunburst. And you can see it just popping through there. It looks absolutely incredible. You've got parts of the Sunburst here still visible with that black finish. You've got a tortoiseshell guard. Yeah, that thing's looking absolutely great. Something I've noticed there actually on the previous picture as well, if you have a look at those clay dots, they are really dark on that, something that usually happens over time. What's more interesting about this, so earlier, or a moment ago, we were just looking at a guitar with a roasted maple neck, and this actually has the roasted maple neck and also a roasted select alder body as well, so the whole guitar has been, absolutely cooked. It's a cord saw maple neck with a flat laminate rosewood fingerboard, 60 style oval C, 9.5 inch radius with 21 jumbo frets. So this thing is going to be it's going to be almost like a shred machine. Now number 40, something a little bit different. We've got a limited edition Kuna Fatelli Custom. So we've got the binding on there. You've got that nice big chunky sounding humbucker in the neck. It's a heavy relic treatment, so you can see it's got some proper arm wear on there. In fact, let's have a closer look at that. And it's got the reverse staggered Tele bridge pickup in there as well, so that gives you a slightly brighter response on the bass strings and a slightly warmer response on the treble strings, kind of evening it out a bit, giving it a bit more roundness. And you've also got these staggered saddles as well, so they're compensated to give you better intonation. And something that's really cool for those of you who like doing volume swells, things like that, they've moved the volume control here, tone control is in the middle position, and then right at the back you've got the three-way switch instead of up here where the volume control is. Once again, we've got the same guitar. This time it's Sunburst underneath, but it's got aged vintage white on top. Now here's a very cool guitar. We've had a couple of these in before. We had one in a super heavy relic, which was like, it's almost like spot the paint as opposed to seeing the wear marks on it. It's limited edition, so it's a 53 Tele, so you'd like to have, it's got a large C back shape, so not a massive neck, but still a fairly nice neck to hold. Custom Shop hand-wound 5051 blackguard in the bridge, and a Seymour Duncan SH55 Seth Lover humbucker in the neck, so kind of like a PAF sounding thing, something you'd expect to see on like an early Les Paul. This next one we're looking at, it's a very similar guitar, 53 heavy relic. This time it's in aged butterscotch blonde. We've got the same pickups in there, so this is for your Keith fans out there. So here we're looking at another limited edition guitar. It's a 53 Tele in the Journeyman Relic. We do really like the Journeyman Relics because it's a great guitar. The idea I think behind it is it's for the player that bought the guitar new and has looked after it all these years and just, used it for the odd gig here and there, so it's got some marks on it, but really, it's more little bits of lacquer checking, the odd dent. On here though, we can see they've done the heavy relic treatment to the back of the neck, or nearly heavy relic, at least a relic job there, where they've gone right through to the wood. So once again, this is going to be a very playable guitar. And you can see some really nice bits of flame on there as well. Something they've done in this dealer event is they've done lots of these 2A flame quarter sawn maple necks, and the shape is a 54 style U, so it's still a semi-chunky neck, but not too massive. Custom Shop hand wound, original blackguard Tele bridge, and a twisted Tele in the neck. Okay, next up, this is pretty much the same guitar, and it's just had the super heavy relic treatment, so you can really see this thing has been properly worn out. I mean, especially on the back there. You can see the neck is a bit darker as well because it's a super heavy relic. They make the wood a little bit darker underneath as well, so it looks properly worn in. You can really see those bits jump out. That looks incredible. You can see all that arm wear. You can see the parts here where the player would have been using the pick, really aggressively. You've got all those little marks where the hand would have been, fingers would have been pressing down on the strings and just over time wearing that out. The guitar we're checking out right here, this is a limited edition 60 Journeyman Relic in natural blonde. And we've always really liked these natural blonde kind of Teles. We like them on Strats as well, but more so on the Teles, because I think we get so many guitars that come in, vintage guitars, especially pre-CBS Strats and Teles, where they've been stripped back to the natural finish because that was the trend in the 70s. And some of them have been lacquered, some of them it's almost like it's been in the shop window. It's like a shop window fade where it's just been worn out. So it was a blonde Tele to start with, and it's just worn all the way back. So you've got all this great grain showing through, and it's kind of on the way to becoming a natural finish again. I think that with the white pick guard as well makes it very different from a typical kind of 52 blackguard blonde Tele. And you can see on the back there where you've got even more of the wood grain showing through, some really nice patterns in there, making this a very distinct guitar. Wow, so this guitar we're looking at here, this is a limited edition 60 Tele Custom Heavy Relic in aged Tahitian Coral over 3-color Sunburst. That name really rolls off the tongue there. This is a really cool colour. When they first started bringing Tahitian coral out recently, we hadn't seen one for a long time, and when they came in, we just found that people absolutely loved that colour. I think it's a slightly more pink looking Fiesta Red maybe. It's got its own thing going on, and with that three-tone sunburst underneath, I think that just really sets it off with the white pickguard, rosewood fretboard. That's a killer looking guitar. Now, checking out some of the specs for this one, we've got a rosewood fingerboard. We've got a large C back shape. So once again, not too big, but still a nice amount of wood to hold there. 9.5-inch radius with 21 narrow tool frets. Interesting different pickups on this. So we've got Custom Shop hand-wound 58 Tele pickups on there with Fat 50s Tele wiring. Number 73. This is one of those guitars that we just always have to keep a 56 Strat in stock. We've got a couple on order already, and we've put a couple more into here. And if you are in the mood for a 56 style Strat, these are just going to be great. This is interesting. It's a Relic, Journeyman Relic finish, faded age 2-color sunburst. If you have a look, it's quite a wide fade on this one. So you can see lots and lots of black there, whereas you do see on a lot of them that the black kind of sort of fades out by about here, so you get a lot more of that kind of natural amber looking colour showing through. This has also got Custom Shop hand-wound master design bone tone strap pickups in there as well. And again, we've got a one-piece rift sawn maple neck, a 1056V back shape, which the shape itself, I did mention earlier it was quite chunky, but what's also interesting is it is a V profile, but it's very subtle. It's not until you get to like a 57 style V where it's a little bit slimmer, but the V is a lot more pronounced. Right here we've got a 59 Strat Journeyman Relic in super faded aged sonic blue. This is another guitar we always have to keep these in. Late 50s, early 60s, that kind of period from 59 through to around 62. Those guitars are the ones that I think just everyone should at least own at some point, especially in a custom color as well. It really looks great. Nice upgraded quarter saw maple neck. We've got a 59 style D back shape, which is it's a pretty slim neck compared to some of them. Playable 9.5-inch radius, 21 narrow tool frets. Got Custom Shop hand-wound Fat 50s pickups in there, so it's going to be quite a punchy sounding Strat. We've got a 10-hole mint green pickguard, something that you only really see on kind of 59 Strats, the 10-hole instead of the 11-hole. Just nice little touches I think the Custom Shop do to make these guitars pretty accurate to the originals. Okay, so we've got an identical guitar here. The only difference here is the colour. We've got super faded aged Fiesta Red. And I think the late 50s, early 60s Fiesta Red Strat is a guitar that's just completely identified as the shop favourite, I think. It's the one guitar that we could almost have 100 of these in stock and we would be in heaven. Okay, we've got another Fiesta Red Strat here. This is aged Fiesta Red, so it's not too faded out. It's a late 64 Strat. And what that means is you get mother of pearl dots in there instead of the clay dots. You've got a transition logo. You've got a round laminate rosewood fretboard on there. So like I said earlier, the maple underneath is radiused, and then the veneer board is kind of wrapped around that. Quite cool as well. We do like a few 64 Strats into stock. Wow, so this guitar here, it's another roasted 60 Strat, super heavy Relic. I mean, this is really like a Stevie machine. It's got the roasted select order body like we were looking at a guitar with that earlier. You've got the roasted quarter sawn maple neck, and you've got flat laminate rosewood fretboard, a 60 style oval C, very playable with a 9.5-inch radius, and 21 jumbo frets. So if you are into your Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff, this guitar is going to be perfect, especially as it's got Custom Shop hand-wound Texas special pickups in it too. And we've got another one here, but this is an incredible looking colour. So it's aged olive green. And this is for someone, again, it's a bit of a Stevie machine, just in a different colour. So, I mean, I absolutely love Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I think his Strat looks incredible. But for a lot of you guys who kind of love his guitar but want your own thing, that's a really good option. Next up, we've got a limited edition 59 Jazzmaster Journeyman Relic Faded Aged Daphne Blue. Now, the Journeyman Relic, as I mentioned earlier, it's a subtle relic. We've got a bit more wear on the back of the neck again, but not too much, just to make it a bit more playable. Large C neck. It's got 250K pots with vintage Jazzmaster wiring. Custom Shop hand-wound Jazzmaster pickups as well, just for that extra bit of tone you can get out of them. Another roasted Strat, so again, roasted all the body with a roasted 3A bird's eye maple neck. We've got to have a look at that. It's a 1056V, so nice chunky neck on there. Wow. That thing looks so dirty on the neck. I love it. See there, some nice wear through. You've got lots of figuring. In fact, let's have another look at a couple more photos if there are any. Oh, just the two on this one. Okay, so some of these ones that we have on order, bar the first Greg Fessler we were looking at, the Masterbuilt, these should take approximately a year from when we ordered them. So if you are keen on any of these, do let us know as soon as possible, because we do have lots of pre-orders on Custom Shop guitars, simply because they take so long to make. Now, the next one we're checking out, another limited edition. This is a 62 Strat. 62 can kind of go either way. So if you're looking at original 60s Strats, the pre-CBS ones, 62, if you get later in the year, you start to see some of the veneer boards coming through instead of the flat laminate rosewood fretboards. This is an interesting Strat as well, because it's a two-piece select ash body. So the ash grain is really popping through there. It gives you a different sound. I think it's a slightly more forgiving sound as well. You know, if like me, you make a few mistakes when you play, or you like, you know, your playing dynamics do vary a bit. I find the ash body is a bit more spongy, and it just kind of works to add some compression to the sound. Checking out the back there, you can see really nice, even kind of grain pattern coming through. Now here we have the same guitar again, but really interestingly, it's an aged cherry sunburst, and that colour you just don't really see on Custom Shop relics. They do it a lot on the when we had the Elite series out. You saw loads on those guitars. You see a lot on American standard Strats, especially with the ash body, and it's a colour that I think, you know, it is absolutely incredible. It's a little bit different from your typical 3-colour sunburst, because the edge of it is red. It's not black. And this is a really nice looking guitar. Ash body, quarter sawn maple neck, flat laminate rosewood fretboard with a 60 style oval C. This guitar is going to appeal to a lot of people. And it's got jumbo frets as well, making it super playable. Custom Shop hand wound 6063 Strat pickups. Yeah, absolutely killer guitar. And we've got one more actually coming up. Again, same guitar, but in the natural blonde. So it's super faded out blonde type finish. And on this example, actually, it almost looks like an Olympic white that was put on an ash body that just almost completely faded through. We're into some basses now. So we've got a 60 limited edition jazz bass relic in super faded aged Tahitian coral. Once again, that Tahitian coral is cropping up because we absolutely love that colour. We've got relic finish, two-piece select order body, quarter sawn maple neck with a flat lamb rosewood fretboard. 60 style jazz bass U. They are quite thin, some of these, and this is quite vintagey in some of the spec, but then, you know, with the 7 1/4 inch radius, 21 medium jumbo frets, so a little bit bigger than those vintage frets, with Custom Shop hand wound vintage jazz bass pickups. So next up, we've got a pair of Teles. We were looking at some Strats a moment ago, some 59 Strats that we have coming in the Journeyman Relic. One in the super faded age Sonic Blue and one in super faded age Fiesta Red. And I was saying at the time, you know, we would just love to have loads and loads of these guitars in. And here we have kind of the same thing, but in Teles. So we've got relic finishes, so one step on from the Journeyman. It's an aged Olympic white, and we've also got one coming in, I'm going to show you right now, which is in relic. It's a faded aged surf green as well. So we can check out some of the specs on these. So two-piece select order body, quarter sawn maple neck, flat laminate rosewood fingerboard, 60 style oval seam, 9 1/2 inch radius with 21 narrow tool frets. Hand wound original black guard in the bridge, and a hand wound twisted Tele in the neck position. And it's got Fender's grease bucket wiring. So the idea with that is that as you turn the tone control down, you don't increase the bass perceptively. Really nice idea, and it definitely works as well. This is a limited edition red hot Strat. It's super heavy relic in dirty shell pink, and that again, that's another colour you really just don't see much of. I mean, look at that. That looks absolutely gorgeous. I think shell pink is a colour that's become a lot more popular recently. It's got a 2-piece select ash body with a 1-piece quarter sawn maple neck, a 59 style D. And what's crucial about this is it's got their hand-wound red hot Strat pickups, which do sound very, very good. So if you haven't tried them, I urge you to get down to your local guitar shop, preferably us, and try them out. Here we've got another 64 Strat in the Journeyman Relic with Closet Classic hardware. So as I was saying earlier, it's got the Journeyman Relic finish to the kind of paintwork, whereas all the hardware has the Closet Classic, so it's a little bit shinier. Okay, so we've got a 2-piece alder body, a 2A flame quarter sawn maple neck. There has been a lot of 2A flame necks coming in here. I think it's something they're really getting into at the moment. Round laminate rosewood fretboard, so it's like kind of, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of late 62 onwards. And let's have a closer look at this guitar as well. So I do like a surf green Strat. Look at that, nice, subtle, few little dings, but very subtle. Even when you see it in the flesh, you know, it looks almost like an NOS Strat, but it's just faded back a little bit. Right, and we're going to move on to the last guitar. So this is the last guitar we had on the order list. There may be a couple that have been in this dealer event that we might go for as well, but this is pretty much where we're at the moment, and this is a good one to end on. So we've got a limited edition Poblano Strat, a super heavy relic in aged to natural. And this has almost got kind of like a blonde hue to it. It is natural, but I mean, look at that. You can see that incredible wear mark, those arm wear marks coming through there. Just got loads of dings and dents everywhere. You've got really, really grubby looking hardware. It's almost like a roasted neck. It might even be, let's have a quick look. Yeah, roasted quarter sawn maple neck. It's an ash body, as I'm sure you could tell from that grain anyway. Round laminate rosewood fingerboard. Large C back shape, 9.5 inch radius, 21 jumbo frets, and really crucially hand-wound hand-wound Ancho Poblano Strat pickups with a vintage modified number 2 wiring with tone saver bleed. Custom shop vintage synchronized tremolo, vintage style tuning machines, bone nut, wing string tree with tall metal spacer, if you're interested in some of those little details, which I know a lot of people are, so really good to put that in there. Let's have one quick look at the back of this guitar before we finish up. Yeah, limited edition neck plate. You've got the limited edition serial number on there, and the limited edition Fender Custom Shop decal on the back of the headstock too. That's an incredible looking guitar and a really nice one to finish up on. So there's some of the models from the dealer event. I hope you like some of the guitars they brought out. I certainly did. I think there's some absolutely killer models in there. The links won't be in the description below as per usual because these models are literally just come out right now, but they will be on our website very soon, so keep an eye on our Fender Custom Shop page. And as always, make sure you give us a like and subscribe too.